Now you have to go through the PLV process. Now this PLV process looks fantastic when you read about it on the internet, but it is quite a, yeah, it's probably one of the most challenging things because it is not centralized, the application process for it. There's no central portal that you apply and say, oh, I want to do a PLV, I apply, and then suddenly you get job offers coming for you left, right, and center. No. You have to literally send emails out, knock on dentists' doors without any guidance to find a practice that is willing to take you on and train you for the duration of the PLV. Wow. Now, this is a source of great frustration for many dentists. Great frustration. I'll explain. What happens is, because you don't know where to go from that point, you're just moving around, just trying to find somewhere where they will take you. You then expose yourself to predators. Predators in the sense of there are some practices where they may take you on for the PLVE program, but the terms on which they take you are so unpleasant that it can make you question the entire decision to come to England. So the terms that they may remunerate you may be so bad. So I've heard of colleagues who were being remunerated and had such onerous terms put on them that, you know, some of them really were reduced to tears and said, you know, why did I ever come to this country? Because the frustration was, one, I thought by working in England, I would earn a decent living or possibly live the life of the dentist I see on TV. But the reality is it's not quite like that. Now, if you then meet someone who then gives you some very bad terms for the PLV, that just adds insult to injury. So in general, what you'll find is that to get that performance number, you will be signed on by a practice, and the practice will do either of two things. Either the practice will say to you, we will train you for the PLV, but we're going to charge you a fixed sum every single month, which you'll pay towards the person who will be your supervisor. Whereas for yourself, Arnold, when that person was training you to do your foundation training, the NHS paid that trainer.
Yes.
But when you are a foreign trained dentist or an international dental graduate, IDG, you have to pay for that yourself.
Wow.
So you have to pay them, the person who will be mentoring you. And you could be paying them £1,000 a month.
Wow.
From your production. And by the way, your production is already got a license fee subtracted from it, as is the case in every country where maybe you as the dentist, the associate dentist, earn 50% of what you produce. So from that 50%, you're left with £1,000, for example, is taken away to pay the mentor. Now, the practice may, on top of that, give you a reduced rate as well. So instead of paying you at a full rate, which other practitioners who are fully registered are paid, it may give you an even lower rate. So one, you're paying the mentor, two, you've got a lower rate of payment, which really puts you into a difficult position. Other practices may say to you, well, you don't need to pay us £1,000, but what we'll do is we'll reduce your rate of payment significantly. You might not be aware of it. You're just looking for a place to do your PLV, and you actually don't know that the rate at which you're paid is significantly less, maybe even half of what other dentists are being paid.
Yeah.
So it becomes very difficult for people to get out of that situation. And sometimes some practices may put break clauses to say, we'll train you and do the PLV, we'll provide a place for you to do it, but you must then agree to work with us for the next 5 years. Yeah. And if you choose to leave and break that clause, that will be £30,000.
Yeah.
So these are some of the hurdles that people then face. But that's only if you want to work on the NHS. If you don't want to work on the NHS and you're able to get a private practice, it will mean that from the very first day you pass the ORE and are fully registered with the GDC,
yes,
you can go straight into private practice. But you'll find that many private practices are uncomfortable about hiring someone who has come from elsewhere without any experience of working in the UK.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a tight situation.
it is.
To
It
be
is. It is.
what? How would you summarize what's the risk that a practice is taking when they say yes to an international dental graduate to then work with them? What's the risk on the practice side?
Well, when you look at it now as a practice, when you take on the person, the risk is that we live in a litigious society.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society where your brand as a practice can be damaged significantly when you take on a dentist who is not able to practice at the level that other dentists are practicing at.
Yeah.
So you coming in from a different country, the principal or the practice may look at it and say, well, we're going to levy a charge, and that charge is going to be a lower rate of payment to cope with any eventualities where maybe we have to do refunds for patients who are disgruntled with the service you provide to them, or maybe we use that money to pay for any issues that may arise by virtue of employing you. The big risk that comes is where a patient comes in and says, oh, this dentist didn't treat me well, and then they go all over the internet, spreading stories. And that type of thing, when it happens, really it causes a lot of frustration, and practices are wary of that. So on their part, they're thinking, why should I take on this person whom I know initially will not be working at the same rate as any other dentist?
Yeah.
Because if I don't take on an associate who is not an international dental graduate, if I hire an associate who is already experienced in working in England, from the very first day that they join me at the practice, I will know that the rate of production is going to be high. But if I take on an international dental graduate, as with any new system, you have to learn it. Some people pick up the pace in a month, some people pick it in 3 months, some people take it in 6 months. During that initial period, your production will be low. And because the production will be low, the practice will say, well, we'll levy a greater charge on you because we know you won't be working as fast as other dentists are able to. And you may have more complaints than other dentists. And you'll need the support of the mentor, who will also have to take time out of their diary to support you. So to compensate the mentor for providing that support, you are going to pay the mentor to do the extra work to make sure your portfolio is up to scratch. So this is the other side of the equation, where the practice is looking at its own bottom line and saying, yeah, we need to make sure we're well protected. But the challenge comes where maybe it goes to the extreme, where the money paid to you as the dentist is not enough for you to survive. Where now, in many respects, the dentist is now really earning a pittance, and it's not enough for them to pay the mentor. It's not enough for them to live on, and it just frustrates them. And like I said, I've seen colleagues in tears as a result of this, genuinely frustrated, because the NHS as a dental system is so radically different from anything that we ever experienced when we were in our own countries. It in itself is a source of great frustration, because you were trained to try and produce the very best dentistry you can. The very, very best. But the difficulty is, in a system that remunerates you for doing the same, for doing one filling as 20 fillings, it's very difficult for you to be able to practice and invest in all those things that you'd like to, because the remuneration doesn't acknowledge your further training. So many dentists get frustrated by that. I've heard of stories of people who've gone back to their countries after experiencing the NHS, saying, you know what, I can't handle this type of dentistry because it's just stressful. And I feel I've got no way out from the stress. I'm constantly worried about patients complaining. I'm constantly worried about the CQC coming for me. I'm constantly worried about the GDC, because I think the data is clear that, dentists from a minority background have the bulk of the complaints that reach the GDC. The same is true with the General Medical Council. So by virtue of you coming in with a different name, with a different look. There will always be a spotlight around you. That just is what it is. And that frustration and stress can really get to a lot of people, and some of them just cannot handle it and say, you know what, I'd rather go back to where I came from, because I can practice dentistry the way I want, with dignity and respect, and people honoring, you know, my efforts, rather than always being looked at as someone who's trying to make money off the patient.